Bugs, and welcome back to the Love Bug Lounge, a podcast about self-love. Tune in, transform, and continue growth with me, your host, Mia Rose. Episode 10, everybody. We have hit double digits. That's crazy. Thank you to everyone that is listening now. Thank you to everyone that has been listening since I started this in late November. So much has changed, but really all of it for the best. I know that my self-confidence has gotten better. I know that my determination and really just the overall belief in myself has gotten better. It's gotten so much stronger. And as you guys know, I believe a lot of that's because of this podcast. This also feels like for the first time in life, I'm really choosing me first. On some days, I fail at that, but overall, it really feels like I'm saying yes to Mia. It feels like I'm saying yes to life, and it's liberating as hell. I feel more alive than ever. I feel more hopeful for the future than ever, and you're a part of that. And I just want to say thank you. Before this episode gets started, when I was planning it, I didn't intend for it to be this way, but once I started writing it, I realized it had become this way. It's more of a spiritual episode. That was not the plan, but I guess in some ways that makes sense because I'm talking about my beliefs, my fears, my experiences, and I'm a spiritual person. So of course that is going to trickle into my perspective and my storytelling. If you don't share the same beliefs as I do, that is completely fine. Feel free to apply your own or just kind of fill in with your own thoughts, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. But moving forward, I find it interesting the way humans can always find the bad and the good, and I argue we could always make some good out of the bad as well. And in the same way, humans always want what they can't have. The girl with straight hair wants curly. The girl with curly hair would die for straight. The person with freckles can't wait to get rid of them. The person without them is applying fake freckles. The person with the fast city life is dying to settle down. And the person with a reliable home and job and partner is wishing for the fast life. So I could really go on and on. But it seems like I was just talking about being nervous for my future when all of my big life questions are going to be answered, being nervous about when everything is figured out, and talking about what a blessing it is to have so much freedom, so many options, and so many directions and avenues. And I still agree that that is very much a blessing. But now I'm kind of being tested on how much I believe that. I'm coming up on one of the most directionless times I've ever been in my life, and it's scary. June 18th, I will be done with my classes for my bachelor degree, and as of now, that is only 2 months and 17 days away. I know people get their bachelors all the time, but for me, it feels so surreal. While I was in it, I kind of felt like it was never going to end, and to be honest, I don't think I would have minded that. The thing about college is it seems to give this air of, I know what I'm doing, I'm going places, I'm a productive member of society, I'm moving towards a goal, I'm moving forward, even if that isn't necessarily true. I don't believe college is for everyone. I don't think it's beneficial for anyone. And I certainly don't think that people who go to college are better than those who don't go to college. I watched a great film covering this called Ivory Tower. I watched it my junior year of high school, and it changed my life and has stuck with me so much ever since. So highly, highly recommend, especially if you are somebody that doesn't feel like college is for you, but only going because of society or your parents. Watch that. It'll make you more confident in yourself, or it will make you realize, okay, maybe I do want to go to college. Anyways, though, back to the topic. College for me, and I think for many people, it's a safety net. It's a wall to hide behind. It's a distraction from life in some ways. You know that every semester you're going to apply to the next batch of classes that are set up in your planner by an advisor, and you might have the freedom to pick which specific class you want to do, and you could run into difficulty definitely with your advisor or with registering. But for the most part, in my opinion, the majority of college students, a lot is laid out for you. in those 4 years. And your focus for much of the college experience, I think, is your next class, your next semester, your next professor, your next book, your next grade. And with that, because you're focusing on the next closest thing, you can make your future without college seem like this super far, far away time that you don't really need to think about or plan for. But as we know, time goes by fast. And I definitely don't want to diminish the work of college students. College is hard. It's time consuming. It's draining. It's continuous work and stress and studying. It's quick moving. And a lot of times there's so much self-motivating and self-discipline that comes into it. And it's in no way easy, especially when you're working a job or 2 or 3, or you're playing a sport, or you're in an internship, or you're taking care of your family, especially just all the other responsibilities you might have on top of your schoolwork. However, that doesn't change the fact that college can be used as this kind of avoidance technique that maybe others don't realize, or maybe you don't even realize you're using. As mentioned in the first episode, I am a psychology major, so graduating with my bachelor's a great accomplishment, but it doesn't exactly set me up for any immediate jobs. It doesn't set me up with a job straight out of school the same way pursuing a nursing degree would have. I know that I want to be a therapist, so I know I will have to go and get my master's and maybe even my PsyD, aka my doctorate, but that's a whole new can of worms I will jump into in just a second. So my first stress or unknown, or the part of indirection in my life, is where I'm going to work after I graduate. As of right now, I am a bartender, and there are so many benefits to the job. It's under 5 minutes away. There's no side work. I love a lot of the people I work with. It's extremely easy to get days off. It's easy to pick days up. And so obviously this job has so many very lovely aspects, but at the same time, there are also a lot of things that are just really tiring my soul out. It's wearing deeply on the emotional and mental part of myself, and I will eventually do an episode talking more about my job, probably with one of the girls that I work with, a little guest feature. But to skim some of the cons now, or maybe not cons, but things at least I feel like I'm growing out of. I'm tired of working night hours, or at least I'm tired of relying on night hours to make my money. It's difficult day in and day out to deal with drunk people, but really especially the drunk men. The everyday objectification, the inappropriate comments, the grabbing, the staring, the looking. All day, every day when I work, it feels like being on a stage that you cannot get off of for 8 to 14, 15 hours. And I think really the biggest thing is I don't feel like I'm helping anybody. Not really anyways. It is a service job, but I'm feeding people alcohol, and I see some of the same people in there every day for hours at a time, and it just feels like I'm more of a part of the problem than I am the solution, which you could say, like, if it's not me, it's going to be somebody else, like I'm just a tool, but that doesn't really get rid of the guilt that I feel. And granted, I feel so lucky for this job. I feel lucky to even have a job, and I definitely don't want to quit it. I just don't want it to be my main source of income anymore, because the burnout is definitely real. Concerning my job, I know that what's meant to be will be. I know that. I have been taught this lesson so many times throughout my life. I have been reminded of this so many times throughout my life. And each time I kind of have to smile to myself and look up and be like, okay, you're right. You got this. You have this figured out. I just got to let you handle this. You being God, the universe, whatever you believe in, your higher self, guardian angels, whatever. So at my core, I know it's all going to work out the way it needs to. The job that's meant to me will find me at the time that's right for me. And really deep down, I know that that's not going to be until after I officially graduate. So I shouldn't look right now. I shouldn't be applying and, turning in my resume right now, but I'm not listening to that voice. And instead, I'm scrolling through Indeed like some type of madman, applying places and reading through descriptions like some type of crazed animal. And so far, honestly, I've been getting denied from jobs, which is not surprising because they require a bachelor's degree, a degree I technically will not have for another 2 months and 17 days. And it's like with every rejection, I hear the universe tell me patience and remind me that the answer is not no, it's just not now. And I need to respect that. So that's my first unknown situation. But I'm learning I just need to trust the universe on my future job and the timing of it, and really just have patience, which is difficult. But my second is my master's degree. I know that I want it. I know that I want to be in marriage and family therapy. I know that I want a master's of the arts. I know that I am not taking the GRE. So I need to go to a college that doesn't require that. And I also know that I think it's time to get out of Atlanta. I think it's time to continue to experience new places, while I can. So the good side is that I seem to know a lot about what I want, and I seemingly have narrowed a lot down, but I say seemingly because I have no idea where I want to go, no idea of what country, what state, what school. Who knows? I've given myself time to think about it. I am taking a gap year after I graduate, so it's not particularly urgent, but I still right now want a little bit of a list of where I'll be applying. Colorado, California, New York, Florida, Australia, London. All those places sound amazing. I don't have a particular draw to any of them and a aversion to another one. And I know they would all change my life in beautiful ways. So there's not necessarily a wrong answer. However, if you guys have any advice, message me. I would love to know about your plans. I would love to know about your experience or your friend's experience, your parents' experience, your children's experience, whatever, anything. All advice and all stories I think are extremely helpful, even if I don't take the same route. In conclusion though, my second pretty large unknown is where I'm going to be getting my master's and how big is that move actually going to be. And speaking of moving, that brings me to my third pretty huge unknown that seems to be coming up very quickly. I may not or may have to move for where I am currently living. There are so many variables, all of which are pretty boring to listen to. Unless you're me, then they are pretty anxiety inducing. Either way though, they aren't pleasant, so I won't go over them. But I might have to move. I might not. I won't know until late June. And even if I do learn that I have to move, I won't know the exact date. But like job hunting, I find myself searching endlessly through Zillow and Apartment Finder and Facebook looking for my new possible home. Even though I can't commit to anything right now, can't really tour anything right now, I can't move any of my stuff right now, even though I don't even know whether or not I actually will be having to move in this next coming year. But on top of that, I don't even know which city I'd move to. I don't know if I want to rent a room. Do I want to get a studio? Do I want a new roommate? Am I going to try and move with, my last roommate? Do I need to factor in where I'm going to work? Or like where I'm going to work, does that change where I'm going to live? Where I'm going to live, does that change where I'm going to work? Overall, it just feels like everything kind of relies on the answer of something else or the events in someone else's life, and I can't really make a for sure move on anything. I can't knock anything off my to-do or cross anything off my list. And if you know me, you know I love being able to do that. This is why I'm the person that always tries to, do all my homework in the same day. Or it's why when I start something, I feel like I have to finish it in that same day, because I just like when things are completed. I like when things are done. I like when they're figured out. I like knowing the next steps, the how-to, the plan of everything. And I will say I have gotten better at being a person who just goes with the flow, and it's because I've been shown that no matter how good of a planner you are, you can't control everything, and you certainly can't take into account for everything, and that's a good thing. It's draining to feel that need to control things. But as much as I've been shown that things work out and it's okay to let go and it's okay to trust in something bigger than you, I still cling on this want for control. I still want to know what comes next. I truly believe that right now Brahman is telling me to have faith, to learn that I could trust, to focus deeply on what I can control, but I need to let go of the rest. And I think God, the universe, life, whatever you want to call it, I think when you need to know something, it kind of starts off as a whisper and then gets a little bit louder and a little bit louder. And if you don't listen, it comes kind of like a slap in the face or like a bucket of water on you, or just at least a hard shake. Those all kind of come off as negative, but I think the message I'm trying to convey is I think things try to get taught gently, but if you don't listen to it or you fight against it, you're going to be put in a position eventually where you just have to go through it, and you just have to learn through experience, and you just have to see that you're going to survive in the end. So throughout my life, I feel like that's been my lesson, that sometimes I need to let go, but as much as I consciously know that, I don't let myself do it. But this is one of those times I'm going to let myself have to do it because there's literally nothing to hold on to. I've explained to my partner that I get really obsessive when I'm planning for something. I research and research and research all day, every day. It's an addiction. And when I could take some next steps forward, the process of this research and applying what I've learned, it's invigorating, it's enjoyable, it's energizing. But when I can't take those next steps, it's debilitating, and I can't pull myself away from this endless scrolling and this endless learning. When I wanted a dog for the first 2 years I lived here, I couldn't get one. But I know I looked at Pet Finder every single day. I went to the pound, I went to the shelter, I stocked up on dog stuff, and I researched different breeds. I stocked up on dog stuff. I didn't buy it. I just added it to cart. But I did all of this even though I knew nothing was going to change. No matter what I looked at, I was still going to be in the exact same position in life. And it's the same for every hobby, for all of my interests. Everything that I have, I dive in all of the way. And truly, even though it can be exciting and I lose myself in the planning, it's not good for me. It's extremely time consuming, and I put it above all my responsibilities, and I devote way more focus to this dead end research than I do to things that actually matter at that time in my life. And like I said, it's a weird type of addiction. My boyfriend is like this sometimes. My dad is like this. But besides those two people, I don't really know anybody else that does this or feels this way. So don't feel weird if you can't relate. However, I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, can relate to the fact that the unknown is scary. Change is scary. And even though that is a common fear, I don't really understand why. I mean, change is what gets us anywhere. Without change, we'd be dead as individuals or as a society. Without change, we couldn't grow mentally or physically. I mean, change is actually one of the only consistent things we have, and that's terrifying, but I don't really understand why. Especially for me, change has only ever really helped me. You think my body at this point would be conditioned to enjoy it or even look forward to it. Change has got me out of terrible relationships, out of bad friendships. Change has got me into good schools and good programs, good cities. It's got me to better jobs. It's gave me new skills. And so if I know this, if I can acknowledge this, why do I still fight against it so much? According to some neuroscientists, we're hardwired this way. It's a survival instinct, which I guess makes sense. In the past, the unknown was certainly more dangerous than it is now. I think life is funny that way, making change the inescapable part of nature and then making us hardwired to be against it. But unlike our ancestors, I don't fear that this change or this new chapter in my life will bring death or disease or war or new predators. I think I ultimately just fear failure, which is silly as well, because I don't think any failure is too big to learn from. I don't think it's too big to grow from. I think failure is either a way of rerouting us to what's really meant for us, or failure proves that what we were failing at is really meant for us and it really means that much to us, because we are showing ourselves that no matter how many times we fail at it, we're going to keep trying and we're going to make it right. And that both of those things are beautiful outcomes. Like change, failure is bound to happen. It's necessary. Failure, as I said a couple episodes ago, is a gift right there with an experience. It gives us the chance to learn. It gives us the chance to reach out for help and make connections. It gives us a chance to share our story and help others. It gives us a chance to feel human. Failure builds community. So for this episode and just for my life in general, I had to really dive into what am I scared of failing, or what am I scared of really, if not failure? What is the thing that makes me dig my heels in the sand? And I think the fear is losing myself. And I think maybe it's also the quiet understanding that losing myself is inevitable, just like anything else. I talked to my mom recently and I explained to her that for the first time in my life, my teenage years seem far away. There's memories I can't remember, things about my likes, my interests, my dislikes, my slang that I can't remember. For the first time in my life, my teenage self and me now are not a continuum of a person, but they feel separate. For the first time, it seems like my identity is finite in some way, bound to a time in my life. And although I know that's necessary, and I certainly absolutely do not want to be the same person at 44 that I was at 14, it still makes me sad in some sense of knowing I'm going to continue to grieve a girl that I once was, a version of myself that's no longer needed. Feeling my change, feeling my frontal lobe develop more, being older, getting wiser, it is beautiful in some ways. I feel myself make healthier choices. I see myself accomplish things I never thought I could. I stand up for myself in ways I would have never believed. I'm happier. I invest in my future instead of having this live fast and die young mindset. But feeling myself age is terrifying too. Sometimes I feel things come on or hear myself say things that I don't like, parts of myself changing into a person I don't want to becoming more like my parents, people we say will never be. When I was younger, I felt freer, both a blessing and a curse, both liberating and unsafe. Now I worry about death and driving too fast. When I was younger, I didn't judge anyone. Maybe that explains my naivete and all the times that got me hurt. But recently, I saw a girl walking down the street in the hoochiest of clothing. And instead of applauding her, I thought, what does she expect when she got mad at a guy that catcalled her? And I was disgusted with myself. I still am a little bit disgusted with myself. And to be clear, I don't think that your clothes or your makeup or your sobriety or your lack thereof is consent or an invitation. And yet I had this judging thought when my parents would have said. So how do we make sure that we grow more into who we want to be, grow more into ourselves, and grow less into our influences? Even the other night, me and my boyfriend had a late night talk. It was a great one. It was one of those ones that feel like you're in some stranger's backyard at a glass table. But we were talking about the days, probably around like high school, the days we just wanted to go from place to place to place, from house to house. It didn't matter the plans. It didn't matter who was driving. It didn't matter how we got there. It didn't even really matter what was happening. We just wanted to keep moving, and we could be like that every day. And now everything feels so differently. And I'm only 22. I don't want to lose my spontaneity. I don't want to be bound to just working home. I don't want to fall into a routine. And how ironic is it that I don't want routine, but I don't want change, but I think you guys know what I mean. And hopefully I'm not completely alone in that feeling. I don't know what's scarier, the change, the fact that you don't realize it's happening, or the fact that you can turn into somebody you never wanted to become. I think part of my fear of this unknown is not knowing how I'm going to look back on these years or the choices I'm making right now. Will it be fondly? Will it be with grief? Will I wish I didn't make a certain decision? Will I celebrate and applaud the choices I'm making now? I think some of it is also understanding and it really setting in. We only have one life, which many times this realization gives me the confidence to do what I really want, to say what I really mean, to go after what my heart really desires. It's a realization that gets me off my ass. But every once in a while, it's one that makes me want to pull the covers up to my eyes and up over my head. It makes me question, am I taking life just a little bit too lighthearted? Am I trusting it's all going to work out maybe a little bit too much? It makes me rethink which signs or things in my life were missed opportunities, what was a gift I was supposed to take, and what was a test that I actually failed. And I think this pressure to live a good life or do well, I think that started as a child. Growing up, my teachers always told my parents, oh, Mia is just so bright. She's so wise and so mature beyond her years. She's a natural leader. She's definitely going places. And then I excelled in academics. I excelled in sports. I excelled in art, public speaking. I grew tall. I grew beautiful. And it just felt like I have to make something of myself. I have to be something. If I don't, it's all a waste. And all of these qualities were wasted on me, and therefore I am a waste. And I don't believe that as much now, at least not for others, but it's hard not believing it as much for myself. I mean, I don't think that your achievements make a fulfilling life. I don't even know if a fulfilling life means a good one, but sometimes a fear does pop up every now and again that says you aren't going to be anything. All of this will amount to nothing. And I mean, I just think to myself, at the end of the day, doesn't every 6-year-old think they could be president or an astronaut or a NASCAR driver? And how many of us actually think we might just serve or be a cashier for the rest of our life? So what makes me so special? Why would I be able to make anything of myself? But then again, I think after all, isn't it even a privilege to have that choice? Isn't it a privilege to think that you could be anything at all, to not have your life or your future laid out for you? It's a privilege to be given these options, as there are so many children worldwide in child labor right now. And even on the less extreme, I'm sure there are so many children that would be so proud to be a server or cashier, because it means they got out of the street. It means they broke generational curses. And so I guess I just bring up this perspective shift to prove you decide what makes your life good. You decide the narrative around your actions. A good job, a lot of money, a big house, a nice family, a lot of travel, a lot of degrees, a lot of awards, that might fulfill some, while others will feel empty, which means there's no true answer of what's going to make you happy. There's no true answer on what's going to give you a sense of meaning. And seemingly, like everything else in life, that is both a blessing and terrifying. I'm learning that if I look back in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, and I regret some of my choices or life paths, that regret is still a narrative I'm telling myself surrounding those choices. And like all stories or opinions, they can be changed. I'm learning, continuously learning over and over, that only I have the definition for what success looks like in my life. Not my parents, not society, not my friends, not even my partner who's closest to me. All I could really do for now, and I think all you could really do for now, is just keep trying to stay true to yourself and hope that that's good enough. I think the trick to finding what really matters in life is making choices that would simultaneously make 3-year-old you happy and 80-year-old you happy. Eating good food, listening to a good song, dancing a little bit, seeing pretty pictures, hanging out with people who love you, being nice to others, and giving yourself a break when you need it. So when in doubt, maybe that's the equation we could come back to. Sound okay, love bugs? All right, friends. That is it for our wonderful 10 this wonderful Monday. Happy April. Happy spring. I love this time of year. This time of year just makes me grateful to be alive. I'm not sure if you guys feel the same, but I'm also not sure if you guys noticed I forgot our tradition. Last episode, I forgot to tell you to do 3 things that have to relate to that episode. So now you have to do 6. I'm just kidding. But hopefully, moving forward, I will not be forgetting again. We'll see. I am only human at the end of the day. But for today, try and think of 3 things that you were scared of, but you overcame, or 3 things you were scared of and they worked out for you. I love you guys. I think you know what I'll probably say. Like, comment, subscribe, share this. DM me with your favorite part. DM me with ideas. And I will see you in 2 weeks. Bye for now.